The phone was already playing when I walked into the conference room. My husband's mistress had propped it against a water glass in the middle of the table, and on the screen was Daniel in her apartment, drunk, shirt half-buttoned, laughing at his father and slurring enough private company details to ruin him if the wrong person saw it. Beside the phone was a blue folder with my name on it. Separation agreement. Daniel sat next to his parents with his wedding ring still on, looking pale and wounded, like he was the one being dragged through something ugly. His mother, Diane, pushed the folder toward me with 2 fingers. "Sign it," she said, "before you destroy this family out of jealousy." Our family lawyer, Mr. Collins, cleared his throat and looked at me like he wished he were anywhere else. Marissa, the woman my husband had been sleeping with, smiled without showing teeth. I told her I would release it if she kept fighting. She wants the house, the company, and revenge. This is what she does when she doesn't get her way. Daniel lowered his eyes. "Rachel, please. Don't make me beg in front of everyone." The pen was placed beside the signature line. If I signed, I lost my home, my position at Hayes Property Group, and 7 years of work they called charity. I looked at the video, then at Daniel. "Play it once," I said. "Then play mine." Daniel's hand froze on the edge of the table. 3 days earlier, I had been sitting on my kitchen floor with a cup of cold coffee beside me, trying to decide whether my marriage was sick or dead. Daniel had been coming home late for months, always with answers that sounded reasonable if I was tired enough to accept them. He was good at making me feel petty for noticing patterns. I worked for his family's company too. Hayes Property Group had Daniel's last name on the door and my fingerprints on the budgets, proposals, and client files that kept it running. Daniel had the name. I had the spreadsheets. The house was ours on paper. I had put my savings into the down payment. Daniel called it our home when he wanted me to host. And the Hayes house, when he wanted me to remember who had more power. That morning my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You have until Friday. Sign the divorce terms and leave quietly, or I send this to the board, your in-laws, and every client Daniel cares about." Below it was a video file. The thumbnail showed Daniel's flushed face, Marissa's red nails on his shoulder, and the glass table I had seen in her Instagram story. Another text came before I could breathe. "He doesn't want you anymore." I opened the video. It was not graphic. Daniel was drunk on Marissa's couch, laughing about how his father was too old to catch half the things happening under him, and how one of our biggest clients would forgive anything if the number looked pretty enough. It was not a crime confession, but it was enough to burn his career. At the end, Marissa's voice said, "Tell me you'd leave her if she fought you on the house." Daniel laughed. "Rachel won't fight. She cares too much about looking decent." My hands went cold. Then another message arrived. "Friday, 2 p.m. Family conference room. Don't bring a lawyer unless you want the video public before dinner." When Daniel came home that night, he already looked prepared. Not guilty. Prepared. He stood in the doorway with his suit jacket over one arm and said, "We need to talk like adults." I asked one question. "How long have you known about the video?" He blinked too quickly. "What video?" I didn't answer. He put his jacket down carefully. "Rachel, if this is about Marissa, I don't want drama. My parents are already upset." His parents. I had not called them. "That was clue 1, I said. "I received a threat today." His face tightened, but not with surprise. More like irritation that I had used the wrong word. "Don't call it a threat," he said. "That makes it sound criminal." I stared at him. He looked away. "I mean, I assume whoever sent it is just trying to make this easier for everyone." Easier. That word stayed. By midnight, Diane had posted in the Hayes family group chat, "Everyone, please pray for Daniel. Rachel has become irrational and is threatening to release a private video unless he gives her the house and damages the company. We are trying to handle this with dignity." I read it 3 times. Then the private messages started. Daniel's aunt wrote, "I always knew you resented the family business." His cousin wrote, "Blackmail is disgusting, Rachel." One of the company partners texted, "You should think very carefully before you ruin your own reputation." I had not threatened anyone. I had not even spoken. I almost replied. I wanted to type. He cheated. She sent me the video. They are lying. But I could hear Daniel in my head. Emotional. Jealous. Unstable. So I put the phone down. That was the first thing I did right. The second thing I did right was call Maya. Maya was my friend from before Daniel, before the company, before every dinner where Diane corrected how I served salad. She was also an attorney, not a divorce attorney, but someone who could keep me from panicking. She listened quietly, then said, "Do not delete anything. Do not reply emotionally. Screenshot the texts. Forward the video to a new account. Only you control. Do not go alone." They said not to bring a lawyer. People who threaten you don't get to set the rules. The next morning, I changed every password I could think of. Email, banking, cloud storage, company login, house security app. When I checked the message attached to the video link, something small stood out. The threat came from Marissa's personal email, but the video was hosted on Hayes Property Group Drive. I clicked details. Owner, Daniel Hayes. For a minute I just sat there. Marissa had not secretly filmed him and uploaded it from her own account. The file she used to threaten me came from Daniel's company account. I took screenshots. I downloaded the file. I sent both to the new email Maya told me to create. Still, I knew it might not be enough. Daniel could say Marissa used his laptop. He could say I misunderstood. He was already building the version where I was dangerous. The third thing happened by accident. At 11:43 that night, Daniel called me. I didn't answer. The call went to voicemail. I expected a hang-up. Instead, my phone recorded 4 minutes and 12 seconds. At first, there was muffled movement. Then Daniel's voice, faint but clear. She didn't answer. Marissa said, "Good. Let her stew. She'll be shaking by Friday." Daniel laughed once. "She won't risk a public scandal." "She'll sign," Marissa asked. "And if she brings someone?" "She won't. She hates scenes. My mother will handle her. Collins has the papers ready. Once she signs the house agreement and resignation, she's done." I stopped breathing. Marissa said, "What if she says you planned it?" Daniel answered, "She can't prove that. Besides, everyone already thinks she's blackmailing me." Then came the sentence that made my stomach turn. "It was just easier this way. She would have said no if I asked." The voicemail ended. There are moments when pain becomes information. That was one of them. I did not call Daniel. I did not call Marissa. I did not scream at Diane. I forwarded the voicemail to Maya. She called back almost immediately. "You are not going to that meeting alone," she said again. By Friday, the family group chat had turned into a courtroom where everyone had already voted. Diane posted that she was heartbroken. Richard, my father-in-law, wrote that he had treated me like a daughter and could not understand why I wanted to burn down what his family built. Daniel posted one sentence: "I just want peace." Peace apparently meant me signing away my home, my job, and my right to tell the truth. At 1:30 p.m., I parked outside the Hayes office building with a folder in my bag. It held screenshots of the drive file details and a transcript of the voicemail. My new divorce attorney, Priya Anand, met me at the elevator. She carried one thin folder and said very little. When we walked into the conference room, everyone was already there. Daniel sat between his parents. Diane had a tissue in her hand, even though her eyes were dry. Richard looked angry, but also tired, like my existence had become an inconvenient business problem. Mr. Collins sat at the head of the table with a stack of papers, and Marissa was there. She sat in the chair I used every Monday morning for operations meetings. My chair. She had placed her phone face down in front of her like a winning card. Diane looked at Priya. "This was supposed to be family," Priya said. "Then Miss Blake should leave." Marissa smiled. "I'm here because she involved me." Daniel rubbed his forehead. "Rachel, why are you making this harder?" For 3 days I had imagined angry speeches that would make him understand exactly what he had done. But seeing the blue folder with my name on it, I realized the folder was the speech. They had reduced my marriage to a document, and my dignity to a signature line. Mr. Collins slid the agreement toward me. This is a proposed separation framework, he said carefully. It includes temporary residence terms, resignation from your company position, to avoid workplace conflict, and confidentiality obligations for all parties. Priya did not touch it. I read the first page anyway. Leave the house within 7 days. Surrender company laptop, badge, and access immediately. No public statements regarding Daniel Hayes, Hayes Property Group, or related personal matters. I looked up. Where is the part where he stops lying? Diane snapped. Do not start. Daniel leaned forward. Mom, it's okay. She's hurt. Marissa picked up her phone. Maybe we should stop pretending. She turned the screen around and played the video. Daniel looked down as if ashamed. Diane looked at me with disgust. Richard's jaw tightened. Mr. Collins watched the table. When it ended, Marissa said, she threatened to release that unless Daniel gave her everything. I made mistakes, fine. But blackmail is different. She is using Daniel's lowest moment to destroy him. I had never sent her anything except one sentence after the first threat. Do not contact me again except through counsel. Diane pointed at the agreement. Sign it. Leave the house. Leave the company. If you have any decency left, you will not drag us through a public humiliation. Richard finally spoke. Rachel, I can forgive a lot, but I will not let you hold my family hostage. Daniel pushed the pen closer. His voice was soft. Please don't make me choose between protecting myself and protecting you. There it was. The performance. I looked at the pen, then at Priya. She gave me the smallest nod. I said, Mr. Collins, before I respond, can you confirm something for the record? The room shifted. Mr. Collins looked cautious. Confirm what? I opened my laptop and turned it so he could see the screen. The video link Miss Blake sent me. Please read the file owner. Daniel went still. Mr. Collins leaned forward. His eyes moved across the screen. Priya said, out loud, please. He hesitated. Then he said, the file appears to be hosted through Hayes Property Group Drive. Owner listed as Daniel Hayes. The room went quiet. That was the first hit. Diane blinked. What does that mean? Priya answered. It means the video used to threaten my client was uploaded and controlled by Mr. Hayes' company account. Daniel said too quickly, Marissa had access to my laptop. Marissa turned toward him. Daniel. That was the second hit. Because she said his name like he had missed a cue. I tapped the next file. Then this will be confusing too. The voicemail began playing from my phone. At first, nobody moved. Then Daniel's recorded voice filled the conference room. She'll sign. My mother will handle her. Collins has the papers ready. Once she signs the house agreement and resignation, she's done. Diane slowly lowered the tissue from her face. Richard turned toward Daniel. Marissa whispered. Turn that off, Priya said. No. The recording kept going. She can't prove that. Besides, everyone already thinks she's blackmailing me. Then Daniel's voice said it, clear enough that nobody could pretend they misunderstood. It was just easier this way. She would have said no if I asked. That was the third hit. Daniel stood up so fast his chair scraped the floor. That was private, he said. Not fake. Not edited. Private. Mr. Collins closed his eyes for half a second. Priya asked, Mr. Hayes, are you claiming that is not your voice? Daniel looked at me like I had betrayed him. You recorded me? You called me, I said. You left a voicemail. Diane's voice cracked. Daniel, what is this? He turned on her with a flash of anger I had only seen at home. I was trying to keep this from getting ugly. She would have dragged it out forever. I did what I had to do. There it was again. Not an apology. A confession wearing a reason. Richard pushed back from the table. You set this up? He asked. Daniel's face changed when he realized his father was not asking me. Marissa tried to stand. I think this meeting is no longer appropriate, Priya said. Sit down. Marissa looked at Mr. Collins, but he did not help her. He picked up the separation agreement, looked at Daniel, and said, I cannot proceed with this document under these circumstances. Diane whispered. Rachel didn't threaten you. No one answered. So I opened the family group chat on my phone, turned it toward Diane, and said, You told everyone I did. That was the fourth hit. Richard took out his phone. His hands were shaking, but his voice was hard. Diane, he said. Correct it. Now. Daniel snapped. Dad, don't. We can talk about this privately. Richard looked at him. You made it public. Diane typed slowly. I watched the message appear in the same group chat where they had called me a blackmailer. I need to correct what I said about Rachel. She did not threaten Daniel. Evidence was presented today showing Daniel and Marissa used the video and a proposed agreement to pressure Rachel into leaving the house and resigning. I was wrong to accuse her. For 10 seconds, nobody breathed. Then the read receipts started appearing. Daniel's aunt replied first. What? The company partner who had warned me about my reputation typed, then stopped, then typed again. Rachel, I owe you an apology. Marissa grabbed her purse. Richard pointed at her. You don't leave with a company phone. She froze. He turned to Mr. Collins. Her access gets suspended today. Daniel's too. Until we audit every file connected to this. Daniel stared at him. You can't suspend me from my own company. Richard's voice went flat. Watch me. That was the fifth hit. The physical plan collapsed in pieces I could actually see. Mr. Collins drew a line across the signature page and wrote void, not executed. Priya took a photo. Richard called HR from the room and had Daniel's access disabled. Marissa's keycard was collected by building security 10 minutes later while she cried into her phone. And the pen they had placed in front of me stayed untouched. Daniel tried one last time in the hallway. Rachel, he said. Low enough that only I could hear. You don't understand what you just did. I stopped walking. He looked exhausted now, but not sorry. My father will calm down. My mother will forgive me. But you humiliated me in my own building. No, I said. You played your own voice in your own building. His mouth tightened. We can still fix this. You can say you were emotional. You can say the voicemail sounded worse than it was. Priya appeared beside me and said, Mr. Hayes, do not speak to my client without counsel present. For the first time, he had no audience left to perform for. The fallout did not feel like a movie. It felt like cleaning up after a flood. People who had shamed me privately started apologizing privately, which was convenient for them and useless for me. When Daniel's aunt wrote, I hope you understand we only knew what we were told, I replied, I understand. That is why public accusations should require proof. Richard sent a second message to the family group chat the next morning. Rachel is not to be blamed, contacted, or pressured regarding Daniel's conduct. Any further discussion about company matters will go through counsel. That corrected the social story where it had spread. My company access was restored before I got home. Daniel's was limited. Marissa was placed on leave, and then terminated after the audit found she had used company systems to stage a personal threat. I took 2 weeks of paid leave because I could not keep saving a building that had almost been used to bury me. Daniel did not come home that night. Richard called and said Daniel would be staying in a corporate apartment while attorneys sorted out the separation. I am sorry, he said. I believed he was sorry for being wrong. I did not know if he was sorry for making it easy for Daniel to become this kind of man. I changed the garage code anyway. I changed the locks the next morning. Diane came by 2 days later with a casserole I did not ask for and an apology I could tell she had practiced. She stood on my porch holding the dish in both hands. I should have asked you, she said. Before I accused you. I looked at her through the storm door. For years I had wanted that woman to like me. I had hosted her birthdays, covered for Daniel when he forgot her appointments, and swallowed 100 little insults because I thought peace was something you earned by being useful. But peace bought with silence always gets more expensive. I said, you should have. She waited, maybe expecting me to open the door. I didn't. I'm not ready to have you in my house, I said. Her eyes filled. This time, the tears looked real. Of course, she whispered. Daniel tried another lie about a week later. He emailed several relatives saying the audio had been taken out of context and that I had weaponized a marital crisis to attack his career. Before I could respond, Richard replied all with one sentence. Daniel, stop. The voicemail and file records are not ambiguous. That was the last time Daniel tried to use the family as a shield. Marissa sent me one message from a new number. You ruined my life over a man who didn't even want you. I forwarded it to Priya and blocked the number. A month later, I resigned from Hayes Property Group on my own terms. Not because they forced me, not because Daniel won, because I finally understood that keeping my position there had become another kind of cage. I accepted a short consulting agreement, paid in advance, with all communication through email. Nothing more. The divorce is still ongoing. Daniel is angry about the house. Which is funny because he was so sure I would leave it in 7 days. I don't pretend to understand every legal detail. I only know I did not sign away my life in that conference room. The blue folder is in my attorney's office now. The video is stored in evidence. Not on my phone. I do not watch it. I do not need to. The part that matters was never Daniel on Marissa's couch. Drunk, and careless and stupid. The part that matters was the table, the pen, and the people who saw a villain because it was easier than seeing what their son had become. Sometimes I still hear his voice from that voicemail. She'll sign? He was wrong. I didn't sign. I kept the house key on my own key ring. I kept my name off their lie. I kept my future from being folded into a blue folder and handed to a woman who thought a video could scare me out of my own life. It was never just a video. It was the boundary they thought I was too ashamed to defend.